صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Chapter on mention of the Battle of Badr. Narrated Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, Abu Zayd died and did not leave any offspring, and he was one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr. Narrated Ibn Khubab, Abu Sa'id bin Malik al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, returned from the journey, and his family offered him some meat of sacrifices offered at Eid al-Adha. On that he said, I will not eat it before asking whether it is allowed. He went to his maternal brother, Qatada bin al-Nu'man, who was one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr, and asked him about it. Qatada said, After your departure, an order was issued by the Prophet peace be upon him cancelling the prohibition of eating the meat of sacrifices after 3 days. Narrated Urwa, Az-Zubayr said, I met Ubaidah bin Sa'id bin al-As on the day of the Battle of Badr, and he was covered with armor so much that only his eyes were visible. He was surnamed Abu Dhat al-Qarish. He said proudly, I am Abu Dhat al-Qarish. I attacked him with the spear and pierced his eyes, and he died. I put my foot over his body to pull that spear out, but even then I had to use great force to take it out, as its both ends were bent. Urwa said, later on, Allah's Messenger peace be upon him asked Az-Zubayr for that spear, and he gave it to him. When Allah's Messenger peace be upon him died, Az-Zubayr took it back. After that, Abu Bakr demanded it, and he gave it to him. And when Abu Bakr died, Az-Zubayr took it back. Umar then demanded it from him, and he gave it to him. When Umar died, Az-Zubayr took it back. And then Uthman demanded it from him, and he gave it to him. When Uthman was martyred, that spear remained with Ali's offspring. Then Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr demanded it back, and it remained with him till he was martyred. Narrated Ubadah bin as-Samit, who was one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr. Allah's Messenger peace be upon him said, Give me the bay'ah, pledge. Narrated Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, the wife of the Prophet peace be upon him. Abu Hudayfa, one of those who fought the Battle of Badr with Allah's Messenger peace be upon him, adopted Salim as his son and married his niece, Hind bint Al-Walid bin Utba, to him. Salim was a freed slave of an Ansari woman. Allah's Messenger peace be upon him also adopted Zayd as his son. In the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, the custom was that if one adopted a son, the people would call him by the name of the adopted father, whom he would inherit as well, till Allah revealed, Call them, adopted sons, by the names of their fathers. Quran, chapter 33, verse 5. Narrated Ar-Rubayy binti Ma'udh. The Prophet peace be upon him came to me after on the morning of consummating my marriage and sat down on my bed, as you, the sub-narrator, are sitting now, and small girls were beating the tambourine and singing in lamentation of my fathers who had been killed on the day of the Battle of Badr. Then one of the girls said, There is a prophet amongst us who knows what will happen tomorrow. The Prophet peace be upon him said to her, Do not say this, but go on saying what you have spoken before. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, Abu Talha, a companion of Allah's Messenger peace be upon him, and one of those who fought at the Battle of Badr together with Allah's Messenger peace be upon him, told me that Allah's Messenger peace be upon him said, Angels do not enter a house in which there is a dog or a picture. He meant the images of creatures that have souls. See Volume 7, Hadith numbers 5949, 5950, 5951. Narrated Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, I had a she-camel which I got in my share from the booty of the Battle of Badr, and the Prophet peace be upon him had given me another she-camel from the khumus, which Allah had bestowed on him that day. And when I intended to marry Fatima, peace be upon her, the daughter of the Prophet peace be upon him, I made an arrangement with a goldsmith from Bani Qaynuqa that he should go with me to bring idkhir, that is, a kind of grass used by goldsmiths, which I intended to sell to goldsmiths in order to spend its price on the marriage banquet. While I was collecting ropes and sacks of pack saddles for my 2 she-camels, which were kneeling down beside an Ansari's dwelling, and after collecting what I needed, I suddenly found that the humps of the 2 she-camels had been cut off, and their flanks had been cut open, and portion of their livers had been taken out. On seeing that, I could not help weeping. I asked, "Who has done that?" They, that is, the people said, "Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib has done it. He is present in this house with some Ansari drinkers, a girl singer, and his friends." The singer said in her song, "O Hamza, get at the fat she-camels." On hearing this, Hamza rushed to his sword and cut off the she-camels' humps and cut their flanks open and took out portions from their livers. Then I came to the Prophet, peace be upon him, while Zayd bin Haritha was with him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, noticed my state and asked, "What is the matter?" I said, "O Allah's Messenger, I have never experienced such a day as today. Hamza attacked my 2 she-camels, cut off their humps, and cut their flanks open, and he is still present in a house along with some drinkers." The Prophet, peace be upon him, asked for his cloak, put it on, and proceeded, followed by Zayd bin Haritha and myself, till he reached the house where Hamza was present. He asked the permission to enter, and he was permitted. The Prophet, peace be upon him, started blaming Hamza for what he had done. Hamza was drunk, and his eyes were red. He looked at the Prophet, peace be upon him, then raised his eyes to look at his knees, and raised his eyes more to look at his face, and then said, "You are not but my father's slaves." When the Prophet, peace be upon him, understood that Hamza was drunk, he retreated, walking backwards, went out, and we left with him. Narrated Ibn Ma'qil, Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, led the funeral prayer of Sahl bin Hunayf and said he was one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, may Allah be pleased with them, Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "When my daughter Hafsa bint Umar lost her husband Khunais bin Hudayfa as-Sahmi, who was one of the companions of Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, and had fought in the Battle of Badr, and had died in Al-Madinah, I met Uthman bin Affan and suggested that he should marry Hafsa, saying, 'If you wish, I will marry Hafsa bint Umar to you.' On that, he said, 'I will think it over.' I waited for a few days, and then he said to me, 'I am of the opinion that I shall not marry at present.' Then I met Abu Bakr and said, 'If you wish, I will marry you Hafsa bint Umar.' He kept quiet and did not give me any reply, and I became more angry with him than I was with Uthman. Some days later, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, demanded her hand in marriage, and I married her to him. Later on, Abu Bakr met me and said, 'Perhaps you were angry with me when you offered me Hafsa for marriage, and I gave no reply to you.' I said, 'Yes.' Abu Bakr said, 'Nothing prevented me from accepting your offer except I learned that Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, had referred to the issue of Hafsa. I did not want to disclose the secret of Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him. But had he, that is, the Prophet, peace be upon him, given her up, I would surely have accepted her." Narrated Abu Mas'ud al-Badri, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "A man spending on his family is a deed of charity." Narrated Az-Zuhri, I heard Urwa bin az-Zubayr, Umar bin Abdul Aziz, during the latter's governorship at Al-Madinah, he said, Al-Mughira bin Shaiba delayed the Asr prayer when he was the ruler of Al-Kufa. On that, Abu Mas'ud, Uqba bin Amr al-Ansari, the grandfather of Zayd bin Hassan, who was one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr, came in and said to Al-Mughira, "You know that Gabriel, came down and offered the Salah, prayer, and Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, offered 5 prescribed Salah prayers. And Jibreel said to the Prophet, peace be upon him, 'I have been ordered to do so. That is, offer these 5 Salah prayers at these fixed stated times of the day.'" Narrated Abu Mas'ud al-Badri, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, "Whoever recited the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah at night, that will be sufficient for him." Narrated Mahmud bin al-Rabi' that Itban bin Malik, who was one of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr, came to Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him. Narrated Ibn Shihab, I asked Al-Husayn bin Muhammad, who was one of the sons of Salim and one of the nobles amongst them, about the narration of Mahmud bin al-Rabi' from Itban bin Malik, and he confirmed it. Narrated Abdullah bin Amir bin Rabi'a, who was one of the leaders of Bani Adi, and his father participated in the Battle of Badr in the company of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Umar appointed Qudama bin Maz'un as a ruler of Bahrain. Qudama was one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr, and was the maternal uncle of Abdullah bin Umar and Hafsa, may Allah be pleased with them. Narrated Az-Zuhri, Salim bin Abdullah told me that Rafi' bin Khadij told Abdullah bin Umar that his two paternal uncles, who had fought in the Battle of Badr, informed him that Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, forbade the renting of fields for their yields, but allowed for money. I said to Salim, do you rent your land? He said, yes, for Rafi' is mistaken. Narrated Abdullah bin Shaddad bin al-Had al-Laythi, I saw Rifa'a bin Rafi' al-Ansari, who was a warrior of the Battle of Badr. Narrated Al-Miswar bin Makhrama that Amr bin Auf, who was an ally of Bani Amr bin Lu'ay, and one of those who fought at the Battle of Badr in the company of the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, sent Abu Ubaidah bin al-Jarrah to Bahrain to bring the jizya taxation from its people. For Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, had made a peace treaty with the people of Bahrain and appointed Al-Ala bin al-Hadrami as their ruler. So Abu Ubaidah arrived with the money from Bahrain. When the Ansar heard of the arrival of Abu Ubaidah, on the next day they offered the morning salah, prayer with the Prophet, peace be upon him, and when the morning salah, prayer had finished, they presented themselves before him. On seeing the Ansar, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, smiled and said, I think you have heard that Abu Ubaidah has brought something. They replied, Indeed, it is so, O Allah's Messenger. He said, Be happy, and hope for what will please you. By Allah, I am not afraid that you will be poor, but I fear that worldly wealth will be bestowed upon you as it was bestowed upon those who lived before you. So, you will compete amongst yourselves for it, as they competed for it, and it will destroy you, as it destroyed them. Narrated Nafir, Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with them, used to kill all kinds of snakes, until Abu Lubaba al-Badri told him that the Prophet, peace be upon him, had forbidden the killing of harmless snakes living in houses called jinnan. So Ibn Umar gave up killing them. Narrated Anas bin Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, some men of the Ansar requested Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, to allow them to see him. They said, Allow us to forgive the ransom of our sister's son, Abbas. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, By Allah, you will not leave a single dirham of it from him. Narrated Ubaidullah bin Abi bin al-Khiyar that Al-Miqdad bin Amr al-Kindi, who was an ally of Bani Zuhra and one of those who fought the Battle of Badr together with Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, told him that he said to Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, Suppose I met one of the infidels, and we fought, and he struck one of my hands with his sword and cut it off, and then took refuge in a tree and said, I surrender to Allah, that is, I have become a Muslim. Could I kill him, O Allah's Messenger? After he had said that, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, You should not kill him. Al-Miqdad said, O Allah's Messenger, but he had cut off one of my two hands, and then he had uttered those words. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, replied, You should not kill him, for if you kill him, he would be in your position where you had been before killing him, and you would be in his position where he had been before uttering those words. Narrated Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said on the day of the Battle of Badr, Who will go and see what has happened to Abu Jahl? Ibn Mas'ud went and saw him struck by the two sons of Afra, and was on the point of death. Ibn Mas'ud said, Are you Abu Jahl? Abu Jahl replied, Can there be a man more superior to the one whom they have killed? Or, as Sulaiman said, or is killed by his own folk? Abu Jahl added, Would that I had been killed by other than a mere farmer. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, Umar may Allah be pleased with him, said, "When the Prophet, peace be upon him, died, I said to Abu Bakr, 'Let us go to our Ansari brethren.' We met 2 pious men from them who had fought in the Battle of Badr. When I mentioned this is Urwa bin Zubayr, he said, 'Those 2 pious men were Uwaym bin Sa'idah and Ma'an bin Adi.'" Narrated Qais, the warriors of the Battle of Badr were given 5,000 dirham each, yearly. Umar said, "I will surely give them more than what I will give to others." Narrated Jubayr bin Mut'im, may Allah be pleased with him, I heard the Prophet, peace be upon him, reciting Surah Al-Tur in the Maghrib prayer, and that was at a time when belief was first planted in my heart. Jubayr added, the Prophet, peace be upon him, while speaking about the prisoners of war of Badr, said, "Were Al-Mut'im bin Adi alive and interceded with me for their filthy people, I would have definitely forgiven them for his sake." Narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyib, when the first civil strife in Islam took place because of the murder of Uthman, it left none of the Badr warriors alive. When the second civil strife, that is, the Battle of Al-Harra, took place, it left none of the Hudaybiyah treaty companions alive. Then the third civil strife took place, and it did not subside till it had exhausted all the strength of the people. Footnote: when the second civil strife, that is, the Battle of Al-Harra, took place, means when the people of Al-Madinah were massacred by Yazid's army. Narrated Yunus bin Yazid, I heard Az-Zuhri saying, I heard Urwa bin Zubayr, Sa'id bin al-Musayyib, Al-Qama bin Waqas, and Ubaydullah bin Abdullah, each narrating part of the narrative concerning Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Aisha said, when I and Mistah were returning, Mistah stumbled by treading on the end of her robe, and on that she said, "May Mistah be ruined." I said, "You have said a bad thing. You curse a man who took part in the Battle of Badr." Az-Zuhri then narrated the narration of the Al-Ifk, slander, forged false statement against Aisha. See Hadith number 2661. Narrated Ibn Shihab, these were the battles of Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, which he fought. And while mentioning the Battle of Badr, he said, while the corpses of Al-Mushrikun were being thrown into the well, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said to them, "Have you found what your Lord promised true?" Abdullah said. Some of the Prophet's companions said, "O Allah's Messenger, you are addressing dead people." Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, replied, "You do not hear what I am saying better than they." The total number of Muslim fighters from Quraish who fought in the Battle of Badr and were given their share of the booty were 81 men. Az-Zubayr said, when their shares were distributed, their number was 100 men. Allah knows it better. Narrated Az-Zubayr, may Allah be pleased with him, on the day of the Battle of Badr, emigrants received 100 shares of the war booty.